Hey everybody, Joe here from Avalon. In this video, I'm going to cover a hugely important concept that also happens to be one of the most misunderstood tax topics. We're going to do a deep dive into shareholder loans. We'll find out exactly what shareholder loans are and how they're used. I'll explain how to record shareholder loan transactions and what they should look like on your financial statements. I'll also dive into the tax consequences that can arise and how to avoid problems with the CRA. So all that and nothing else coming up. All right, first up, I'd like to explain the basics of what a shareholder loan is. In general, your shareholder loan represents the amount of funds that you have contributed to your corporation, or on the flip side, it can represent the funds that you have withdrawn from the company. You can loan money to your company or borrow money from it through your shareholder loan. You may be using your shareholder loan without knowing how it works or why it's being used. It's quite common for bookkeepers and accountants to record transactions to the owner's shareholder loan account without the business owner even realizing. For example, your bookkeeper might assume that an e-transfer coming out of the corporate bank account is a shareholder withdrawal when it's really a payment to a contractor. If this error isn't caught, then it means more tax for the corporation because of a missed deduction, and it also means more tax for the shareholder because the withdrawal will be treated as personal income. This is one of the many reasons it's a good idea to learn when and how shareholder loans are used. If it doesn't make much sense yet, that's okay. Keep watching and it'll all become clear. All right, now that we understand the basics of what a shareholder loan is, let's look at some common ways it is used. An owner withdrawing money from a corporation is the most basic example of how a shareholder loan is used. If the withdrawal is not designated as a dividend or a salary, it creates a loan from the corporation to the shareholder. A bookkeeper or accountant might also call this a due from shareholder transaction because the loan amount is due from the shareholder to the company. A common version of an owner withdrawal is when a shareholder purchases a non-business item using the company funds. So let's pretend Paul wants to buy a new 65-inch TV for his condo, so he goes out to Best Buy to find one. While paying for his $2,500 TV, Paul accidentally uses his Avalon Accounting Inc. credit card rather than his own. Now we'll give Paul the benefit of the doubt and say that this was a mistake.
I've made a huge mistake.
The purchase would then be recorded to Paul's shareholder loan account as a $2,500 loan from the company to Paul. The funds would then need to be repaid to Avalon. If Paul doesn't repay the funds, then it's likely he will have to include the $2,500 in his personal income for the year. He would then have to pay personal income tax on that $2,500, even though he received a TV instead of cash in the first place. You can also think of this transaction as Paul borrows $2,500 from the company, then Paul uses that $2,500 to buy a TV for himself. However you look at it, Paul borrowed $2,500 from the company, and the transaction would be recorded as a debit to a shareholder loan account. If a shareholder of a company deposits some of his own funds to the company to cover expenses, this is an owner contribution. This means that the shareholder has loaned cash to the company, and the company will need to repay him at some point. A bookkeeper or accountant might also call this a due to shareholder transaction because the amount loaned to the company is now due back to the shareholder. For example, let's say that Avalon Accounting ran out of cash on Thursday and needed 10 grand to cover payroll on Friday. In this scenario, Paul could deposit $10,000 of his own cash into the bank account to cover payroll. This deposit would be recorded as a credit to Paul's shareholder loan account, meaning the company owes Paul 10 grand. Now, assuming that Avalon received some cash from invoicing clients the following week, Paul could repay himself by withdrawing funds from the corporate bank account tax-free. Alternatively, Paul could leave the loan balance as 10 grand owing to him for as long as was necessary. It's pretty common to see a due to shareholder balance or funds owed to the shareholder in lots of companies. This just means that the owner is funding the business until it can cover its own expenses. Pretty common. Now, another common version of an owner contribution is when the company expenses are paid with personal funds of the shareholder. In this scenario, Paul is out for a beer with a prospective client. Beer. If Paul paid for beer with his personal credit card, the purchase would be recorded to a shareholder loan account as a loan from Paul to the company. He would then expect to be reimbursed for that expense. In this example, there aren't actually any transactions that show up in the corporate bank account. All we have is a receipt Paul provides to the bookkeeper. The receipt shows that an $80 expense was paid using Paul's personal credit card. The bookkeeper would record the transaction as debit meals and entertainment expense, $80, credit Paul's shareholder loan, $80. Paul could reimburse himself for the $80 right away by taking money out of the corporate account, or he could leave the balance on the books until a later date when he wants to be repaid. Now that we've seen some examples of using your shareholder loan, let's look at what the overall balance of your shareholder loan account means. Your shareholder loan balance refers to the running total of shareholder loan transactions at any given time. First up, we'll look at the shareholder loan debit balance. So if you withdraw money from your company, the amount you owe increases. This is often referred to as a debit balance from your shareholder loan account or due from shareholder. Your accountant would likely discuss this with you and refer to the balance you owe as a debit balance. It's also often represented as a positive number within the accounting ledger. As an example of a shareholder accounting ledger showing a debit balance, we could look like this. The $2,500 balance on August 8th is a debit balance, meaning that Paul, the shareholder, owes the company $2,500. On the flip side, you could have a credit balance in your shareholder loan account. If you deposit more money than you borrow, the balance changes so that the company actually owes you money. This is typically called a shareholder loan credit balance or due to shareholder. An example of a shareholder loan account ledger showing a credit balance could look like this. The negative $7,500 balance on August 11th shows that the company now owes Paul $7,500. This is the shareholder loan credit balance. If you're interested in learning more about recording transactions and bookkeeping for small businesses, check out our online courses linked in the description up here or here. We put in a lot of thought into these courses. We share how you can do your own bookkeeping efficiently using modern bookkeeping software and processes. So please check that out. All right, your shareholder loan balance will appear on your balance sheet as either an asset or a liability. If you're not sure how a balance sheet works, check out the link to our Financial Foundations Guide linked in the description below. The shareholder loan account will appear as an asset on the balance sheet when the shareholder owes the company money. The company is expecting to be repaid, so the receivable is considered an asset. This is called a shareholder loan debit balance or due from shareholder. In the shareholder loan debit balance example that we just looked at, Paul owes the company $2,500, so the shareholder loan balance will show up as an asset on the balance sheet, as you can see here. Paul could pay back the $2,500 to repay the loan, or as often is the case, he could take it as personal income in the form of a dividend. The shareholder loan account will appear as a liability on the balance sheet when the company owes the shareholder money. This is called a shareholder loan credit balance or a due to shareholder. In the shareholder loan credit balance example that we looked at, the company owed Paul $7,500. The shareholder loan balance will show up as a liability on the balance sheet, as you can see here. For tax purposes, this is a safe situation for Paul to be in. He can withdraw the $7,500 from the company as a loan repayment and not have to include those funds in his personal income for the year. Paul could also leave the shareholder loan credit balance in place for as long as he likes. The company will still owe him money until it's repaid, and there are no negative tax consequences. The only issue is that Paul might actually want that money back sooner rather than later.
Stewie, hey.
Hey there. So, it's been 24 hours. Got my money?
Oh, you know what? Just give me till next Friday. I'll have it for you.
Oh, that's funny. I could have sworn I said have it today.
Yeah, I don't have it. Sorry.
While there are no tax consequences when loaning money to your company, tax problems can arise when shareholders borrow money from the company over a period of more than 1 year. For example, if a shareholder withdrew $60,000 from his company and didn't repay it for more than a year, CRA might consider that loan to be a personal income to the shareholder. So far, that sounds pretty fair. The shareholder earned $60,000 as personal income and paid tax on that amount. However, in this case, CRA does not allow the company to deduct that $60,000 like they could if it was paid as a salary. This means that there is double taxation on the $60,000. Not good. There are a few straightforward methods to avoid this double taxation mentioned. These include repaying the loan, taking the cash as a salary or wage, or taking the cash as a dividend. If you want to learn more about the difference between salaries and dividends, you can check out our video linked in the description right here. Regardless of the method used to avoid double taxation, it is important that the shareholder loan is properly documented. This could include any terms of repayment in a written agreement or other documentation such as a corporate resolution. Now, the simplest but probably least fun way of avoiding tax problems is to just repay the loan. If the shareholder repays the loan within 1 year, he won't have to pay any tax personally on those funds. You might be thinking, great, I'll just repay the loan before the end of the year, then I'll just take the cash out again shortly after that. Well, CRA wasn't born yesterday. They have rules in place for these types of situations, and they take those into account. CRA considers this to be a series of loans and repayments, and double taxation could still occur. Repaying the loan permanently before the end of the year will help avoid those tax problems. However, it also means that the shareholder doesn't get to use the cash for a new TV and a trip to Hawaii, or let's be fair these days, just maybe buying groceries. Another method to avoid double taxation is to take the funds as a salary. An owner of a corporation can also be an employee of the company. Now, if the owner wants to earn $60,000 from his company and avoid double taxation, he could take the funds as employment income. The salary would act as a tax deduction for the company, and the owner would include it in his employment income. This avoids the double taxation. One catch here is that payroll deductions need to be withheld and remitted. This means that the owner would receive less than $60,000 in his bank account. So perhaps Winnipeg instead of Hawaii.
So gate 31A was Hawaii, and gate 31B was Winnipeg. Going to Winnipeg.
The owner of the company could also avoid double taxation by taking the $60,000 as a dividend. A dividend would be declared and the owner would transfer the cash into his personal account. Dividends are taxed at lower rates than employment income, so double taxation is avoided in this scenario. The shareholder doesn't need to pay payroll deductions when taking the cash as a dividend, so that sounds good, but it's also likely that our shareholder would owe taxes when he files his tax return in April. It's a good idea to chat with your accountant here to make sure that you plan appropriately for taxes owing. This can help avoid a surprise tax bill in April when you file your personal tax return. Shareholder loans can be a useful way to manage short-term personal cash needs, and they also allow shareholders more flexibility in how and when cash is withdrawn from a company. However, it's important to keep in mind that without proper planning, borrowing money for the long term from your corporation can result in negative tax consequences. Hopefully this video has helped give you a good idea of what shareholder loans are and how to use them without getting into trouble. If you want to dive more into topics like this one, please check out the links in the description below. We've got articles, guides, online courses, and lots of other resources for you. We do love helping small business owners, and creating these videos is just one way that we do that. If you're not subscribed to our channel, please consider hitting that subscribe button. It really motivates us to put out more useful content. And lastly, if you want to hear more from me personally, I send out a weekly small business newsletter highlighting things that I see in my business as well as in our clients' businesses. It's short and sweet and to the point, and the link is below as well. That's all from me for now. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Cheers.